Hi there everybody, we're here discussing a new pre-scene this time around. So if you don't already know, my name is Devansh, I'm the lead tutor at Finntutor. We hold the Global Pass Rate Excellence Award for 3 years in a row. So you're in the right place, you're watching the right video to make your SCS preparations very simple, very straightforward, very streamlined to move you towards success. Now this is the pre-scene analysis that we are introducing over here. Now the pre-scene analysis that we create is very unique, is one that links directly to important focus areas, and it's definitely going to help you prepare in a confident way for the November and February 2026 strategic case study exam. See, we have a lot of students that come directly from the exemptions, from the FLP route. This is the first case study that they're taking. They're starting after long. Or even if you're from the traditional route, the case study exam for all students remains the same. So the preparation, yes, can vary a little bit in its technicality, but at the end of the day, the exam is going to be the same. So our preparation has to start from the pre-scene because the pre-scene is the backbone of this exam. So in this pre-scene, we will firstly help you understand the company. Everything related to Cewmlator will be explained by us, will be detailed by us word by word for you in a very understandable way without complicating it too much. That's objective number 1, to understand the company. Objective number 2 is to link to important E3, P3 and F3 concepts. While going through the pre-scene, I am repeatedly going to have these text boxes, just showing you a screenshot, but just going to have these text boxes relating to different E3, P3 and F3 topics, which you will see in this video as well. But just telling you that the first aspect is to understand the company. The second aspect is to link to important E3, P3 and F3 topics that can come up, situations that can come up. And the third is to create a solid topic list. So we create a solid topic list for you, like one on your screen. This is just a sample. This is not my full topic list. But you will see that we list down all of the important topics from E3, P3 and F3 that we discuss within the pre-scene. We tell you how it can be used, and then the last column is where we relate it to Cewmlator, helping you think in that direction even before we start practicing mock questions. So you're understanding the company, you're understanding the important E3, P3 and F3 topics. You have the topics narrowed down because of this topic list. You have these topics related to Cewmlator again because of this topic list that we create. And then we'll be creating mock questions on the most important topics. We do 25 mock questions, different scenarios, different exam favorite topics, and we mark every submitted mock for our students personally to show you your weaknesses, show you your mistakes, discuss it in our live lessons, and then when you go to the exam with such thorough preparation, your overall approach is so much more better. So I welcome you to this pre-scene analysis where we will deal with all of these aspects for you, and not to mention a free mini course is also available with our pre-scene. So in the description below, there is a free mini course that you can register for. This free mini course gives you our initial topic list, our blueprint explanation, a mock writing tip, personalized study plan, a free timed mock which will be personally marked for you. All of this is completely free. You got to try it out. The link is in the description below, because the free mini course at the end of the day is going to be a game changer and has helped thousands of students attempt the exam, take the exam in a positive way, because it guides you through a whole lot of material and bonus material for free. Do register for it. The link is in the description below. But without further ado, let us now begin with part 1. This is only part 1. Our full pre-scene is part 1, part 2 and part 3. All 3 together completes the pre-scene analysis, but this is only part 1. Let's start. So we are starting with the introduction now. Now the introduction is going to be very interesting because the company that's been given to us, or rather the structure of the company given to us, is very different. So we'll go through all the aspects one by one for you. In my pre-scene analysis, it's going to be a very unique approach because we are going to go through word by word of this pre-scene that CIMA has released. But what we'll do as an addition is we will highlight the keywords for you and we will explain them to you, obviously, while linking them to E3, P3 and F3. Specifically the most important topics of E3, P3 and F3 and which are often tested in the exam. That's one goal. The second goal is to give you so much information and so much knowledge about our company that when you write mock questions with me in your practice or when you go to your final exam, you will have so much company knowledge with you, or you will have so much Cewmlator background with you that you will be able to start your answers in a much easier way. You'll be able to create your points in a much easier way because trust me, in the strategic level, half your battle is won if you know your company well, and then you use it within your answers, within your practice, and then in your final exam, there is a very good chance that you will write a solid answer. But the place to start with is knowing our company. So this time around, as we have done in our industry analysis, if you haven't done my industry analysis, please go back and do it. It's a very good start to the pre-scene. So as we learned in our industry analysis, this time the industry that's been given to us is that of a company that manufactures electric vehicles, electric cars specifically. And the name of the company is Cewmlator. It's Cewmlator. You can call it Cewmlator, Cewmlator, whatever you want. I'm going to stick with, let's say, Cewmlator. And that is what I'll use throughout the pre-scene. At the end of the day, remember there are 2 goals of doing such a detailed pre-scene. 1, linking and finding important E3, P3 and F3 topics. And 2, registering this information so that you can use it when the time comes within our practice questions. We'll show you how to do that. And then further, you take it on and replicate it in the exam as well. Because the more information you showcase, the more knowledge you showcase about your company within the answers that you present, the more the more it showcases business skills, the more it showcases integration skills, and that is actually role playing. That is the role of a senior finance manager, because everything that a senior finance manager does is very much related to their company. You are a senior finance manager, so anything you suggest has to be related to your company. And to know your company, this detailed pre-scene analysis is all that you need. Let's start. Now, Cewmlator is a quoted company that manufactures electric cars. All of Cewmlator's products are powered by rechargeable batteries that are linked to electric motors. Straight away, a lot of important information about the company. You see that I have not just colored or highlighted random words. All the words that we highlight are actually meaningful. So Cewmlator is a quoted company, means it's listed on the stock exchange, and we are a manufacturer. We need to keep this in mind. And we produce completely battery operated vehicles, rechargeable batteries, which are linked to electric motors. So you are a senior manager in Cewmlator's finance function. You report directly to the board and advise on special projects and strategic matters. So your role is that of a senior manager. Now let's see, from these two paragraphs or two small paras, what link can we make? Now, being a quoted company very clearly means that you will need to follow strict corporate governance rules, corporate governance strategy structures. This is straight from your E3 and P3 syllabus. We'll be detailing about this deeper in the pre-scene, where they've given us the overall board structure. But over here it's important, so I've just pointed it out. So corporate governance becomes important. Now, one more thing I'd like to tell you is, while I'm making a discussion, I want you to create a solid topic list, so that by the end of my pre-scene, you'll have a very summarized, let's say 50-60 topics, which are key, which you can then narrow in on, and you can only revise those topics to have a great start, where then you'll have revised the topics, you'll know the company in detail, and then students studying with us will do 25 mock questions on these topics. So you are going to be ultimately prepared for the exam. Whatever it throws at you, you'll know, because we'll give you that personalized marking, we'll give you that correction, we'll tell you what is right, wrong, we'll show you the direction. But make sure you list down the topic list. Those who are studying with us, you will receive my very well curated topic list for you. Don't worry about that. But it's just that I want you to create your list as well as an exercise. So you should be writing down: 1. Corporate governance. 2. Now, electrical cars show technology and environmental drivers of change, a very important thing in this market. Because we have gone through the industry analysis, we know there are a lot of external factors that will affect the manufacturing of electric cars. So an external market analysis, a deep external market analysis is going to be important, and models such as Pastel, Porter's 5 forces can be used for this. Now, we depend on rechargeable batteries. This is creating your operational risk, strategic risk. Why? Because what if there is a malfunction with the battery? What if there is a malfunction with your supply chain? So risk is coming into the picture. Topic number 3, you should write down types of risks. And also, because we are in the EV space, environmental tech risks also come into the picture. Corporate social responsibility also coming into the picture, because you are inherently developing a product that is going to be environmentally friendly. More about this deeper. But overall, because it's a quoted company, corporate governance will have to be looked at, and shareholders will be very much scrutinizing your financial performance ratios, which is from F3. Your dividend ratio, your dividend policies, your different ROCE ratios, your different, let's say, interest cover, gross profit margin, all of these ratios become very important, because you are a listed company. People will evaluate this and they will judge you based on it. So F3 is also coming into the picture over here. You see, every aspect will be detailed like this for you, so you are not left thinking about anything. All the thinking has already been done by us. You only have to absorb. So from the first page, we are a listed company, and we are a company that engages in making battery operated cars, vehicles. Now, Cewmlator's head office is located in Duxland, a developed country that has an active and well-regulated stock exchange. Duxland's currency is the D dollars, and Duxland requires companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with IFRS. Now, very clearly, firstly, you are a fictional company called Cewmlator. Secondly, you are located in a fictional country called Duxland. Now, Duxland is a developed country and it has a very well-regulated stock exchange. Now, well-regulated stock exchange again tells me that corporate governance rules are going to be key. IFRS is going to be key. So, because we are speaking about IFRS and there is so much importance given to GRI, global reporting, let's say your reporting standards, your link to IFRS is clearly shown over here. So your F3 understanding becomes even more important. If I look at governance, a developed market with regulated stock exchange reduces political and regulatory risk, but still there is compliance risk, there is reporting risk, because you need to stick to the corporate governance rules, policies, regulations. One very important aspect coming up over here is, because we are operating in Duxland in D dollars, if there is any transaction in a different currency, you are buying in a different currency, selling in a different currency, taking a loan in a different currency, anything in a different currency brings in your currency risk. And deeper into the pre-scene, we will learn that currency risk is a key topic which you will 100% be tested on in this exam. So I would note currency risk as a key issue. So in your topic list next to currency risk, I would ask you to put a star, because I feel that it's going to be a very important issue. Obviously, we will do mock questions on it, so you are prepared. And then if it comes up in the exam, well and good, we are ready. Moving on, electric cars. So first was introduction, now to electric cars. Now within the pre-scene itself, they are giving you a little bit of the industry background before they actually start speaking about Cewmlator. But those who have done my industry analysis will have already great background with you even before you start this. So it's a good start for you. That's why we recommend the industry analysis. But nevertheless, we'll go through this. So origins are the late 19th century. Electric cars first commercially available at the end of 19th century. It's been in the market since a long time, but ceased production in 1920s due to technological advances in petrol powered cars, which offered better performance and range. In the 20th century, dominance was of petrol powered cars. Everybody like 10-15 years ago only had petrol powered cars. Petrol powered cars dominated for almost a century. Electric cars were largely ignored during this period. Now, electric vehicles in specific applications, electricity used for specialized vehicles, example forklift trucks in warehouses. The benefits were that it was efficient, no harmful emissions affecting workers. Now slowly in the 2000s, production restarted for electric cars with few manufacturers launching new models. So in the 19th century, there were some electric cars. In the 20th century, only petrol powered cars. Electricity was only used pretty much in specialized vehicles in factory godowns and warehouses. In the 2000s, there was a return of electric cars. Some companies launched new models. Now if you look at the current market options, there are huge options available. Motorists can choose between internal combustion engines. Today if you go to buy a car, you can buy a petrol car or a diesel car, which is called ICE, internal combustion engine. You can buy an electric car, and under electric cars as well, there are multiple options. You can buy purely electric, you can buy hybrid. Again, we have spoken about both in the industry analysis. Hybrid is where there is a combustion engine and there is an electric motor, both. Now, the growing interest in electric cars is mainly because of environmental concerns, and it's perceived as a cleaner alternative. And the most important thing about this industry is government action, because governments are committed to reducing emissions from road transport. Many planning legislations are going to ban sale of new ICE cars after a specific future date, which means there is going to be huge demand for electric cars, which we have learnt in depth in the industry analysis already. That's the value of doing my industry analysis. So overall, this was a very simple breakdown of the history of electric cars and what is available in today's modern world. Let's link. First, E3. The shift from petrol to electric cars is an external trigger for transformational change. So you as a company have to bank on, or rather is banking on, transformational change. That okay, people are now considering electric cars as a more viable option. So this is a positive for your industry. Now the government's plan to ban ICE cars link to pastel, which means there are huge repercussions for your market of political and environmental factors. Tomorrow government can say, okay, now hybrid cars also banned, only purely electric allowed. This can be a big issue for your company. So right now political risk is in your favor, but political risk can turn negative, environmental risk can turn negative for you. Next, so this is bringing in my risk aspect as well. Now electric vehicles represent disruptive innovation, creating a strategic risk for companies that fail to adapt from petrol to electronic technology. For your company, long-term uncertainty over new technologies and customer adoption requires scenario planning. Now for your company as well, let's say like I said, tomorrow government can ban something new. So you can have a scenario planning structure in place where you have thought of multiple scenarios. So if the scenario occurs, you are ready. Scenario planning also I am going to consider as a key issue for this case study. So again, scenario planning, you should be putting a star. Now the growing EV market impacts financial and non-financial objectives both for you as a company. Remember, you will have financial growth because this market as altogether is growing, but you will have non-financial objectives or factors as well, which you will have to report, and which is becoming ever so increasingly important because of integrated reporting. IR, GRI from your F3 syllabus become very important. Again, this is going to be a key issue. I'll discuss all of these issues in multiple ways through the pre-scene, but as and when something comes up, I like to discuss it then and there itself. So we have types of electric cars now. They gave us, first we did the intro, then they gave us a little bit of the background of electric vehicles, the history. Now types of electric cars. Remember, all of this is only industry background that we are doing right now. We have not started to speak specifically about Cewmlator and Cewmlator's products and its operations and any of that. No. Let's start. Types of electric cars. Now there are several types of electric cars. Some manufacturers produce both ICE and EVs, and some only make EVs. For example, if you want ICE and EV, you can pick any company in the world today. Let's say Ford. They do normal cars plus they do EV cars. EV exclusively, you can think of Tesla. You can think of BYD. First, battery electric cars, or BEVs. I would like you to know these abbreviations because it's going to be important for you. You know, in the exam, if they use, let's say, ICE, you should know what it means. If they use EV, you should know what it means. BEV, you should know what it means. HEV, which is going to come up, hybrid electric vehicles, you should know what it means. Because again, the pre-scene has been given to you very much in advance. We can't be wasting our time in the exam going to the pre-scene and searching for things. That's a criminal waste of time. You already have less time in the exam, and we can't be wasting it on this. So knowing the pre-scene again is important because you can narrow down E3, P3, F3 topics. Secondly, you can gather this information and use it in your answers. And thirdly, you can save a lot of time in the exam, which would have rather been spent wondering about things. You don't have to wonder in the exam. You should exactly know your company in its specifics. That is why this industry analysis is being given so, pre-scene analysis, is being given so much importance. Now, BEV cars are powered entirely by electricity. These cars have large batteries that are recharged by plugging them into an electrical source. BEV cars can be recharged at the driver's home using a domestic electrical socket or a home charging point. You can charge it anywhere, or you can charge it at a public charging point as well. BEV cars produce no emissions when they are being driven. Their electric motors are completely quiet. Unfortunately, they are difficult to recover if they run out of charge when they are not at a recharging point. If the battery gets over, stops there and there. This is because they cannot be towed and must be lifted onto a low loader or trailer and carried to the owner's home or a public charging point. Some drawbacks as well. Now, very clearly, the growth in BEVs increases the need for customer behavior analysis. As a company, you will have to make sure that you have a very strong customer external analysis. Because very clearly you want to know, are customers buying these cars? Is the perception changing about these cars? So an external market analysis becomes very important. Now, development of public and home charging infrastructure links to a value system and upstream supply chain management involving energy providers and charging equipment suppliers. It's going to be very important for you to have a good upstream supply chain, because let's say you give the car, but you don't have good charging infrastructure. You don't have a good charging pod. Let's say you buy a Tesla car. They give you the option to buy the supercharger, right? So just making the car is not enough. You need to make the complementary products as well. Overall, I'm seeing that significant investment decisions are going to be needed to fund charging infrastructure and battery technology. We already know that this industry is going to be heavy on let's say financing requirements, heavy on research and development. So your investment decisions, let's say debt, equity, weighted average cost of capital, dividend management, cash management, all of this becomes very important because of the nature of the industry, because you want to grow. For growth, you'll need to have new products, innovative products, and you'll have to better your charging infrastructure as well, because this is a completely consumer shift that you are looking at. A whole sect of customers, you are telling them that stop buying your ICE cars and buy electric cars. You have to convince them. So to convince them, you obviously have to give them everything in a good, presentable way. Next, we have plug-in hybrid. Now, plug-in hybrid cars are powered by a combination of both electricity and petrol or diesel, with the driver being able to choose between the power sources. The driver can choose, do you want to run on battery, do you want to run on petrol? They have smaller batteries than BEV cars, but because they also have fuel tanks. So this has pretty much the best of both worlds, let's put it that way. The batteries on PHEV cars are charged by plugging them into a recharge the same way. A PHEV may be able to manage 60 kilometers on its battery, which is sufficient for a daily commute, a city commute. And drivers may also reserve their battery power for any sections of their journey that involves city driving. You can choose whether you want to be on electric, whether you want to be on gas. PHEV cars can switch to their internal combustion engines if they run out of battery, and they can be refueled quickly. They usually have smaller fuel tanks than your standard ICE cars, which means they will have to be refueled frequently, but obviously they have best of both worlds. So you are compromising on something, you are gaining something. There is also a weight penalty associated with carrying both electric and ICE propulsion units. So the weight will also be higher, fuel consumption will also be higher, but you have the battery option. Now, PHEVs reflect a transitional stage in the automotive industry, driven by environmental concerns yet practical solutions. from the strategy point of view, PHEVs create strategic risks as manufacturers like us. See, we are thinking about all of this from the manufacturer's perspective like us. Must balance investing in this technology while preparing for the future, because future is going to be heavily dominated by BEVs. So this is a strategy risk we will have to be careful of. And again, investment coming to the picture. Investment, because if you invest too much in, let's say, PHEVs, tomorrow there is a huge shift to BEVs. Your money will go to waste, your investment will go to waste. So it becomes very important to make strong investment decisions or product decisions. Before I move on, I'm just popping in to make sure you're making your topic list. On my screen right now, you're seeing my topic list that my students are going to receive after we finish the pre-scene analysis. And you'll see that it's very well laid out. I want you to create a topic list like this for yourself. You'll see that we have listed down, this is just a snapshot, this is not a complete list. This is only up until a certain section. I've listed down the points just for you to see the way I am creating my topic list. You'll see for E3, let's say for example, we picked up stakeholder analysis as an important topic. Then I'll tell you how it's used. It's used for mapping the power and the interests of key stakeholders. In this case, governments, regulators, suppliers, dealerships all have high influence on Cewmlator and sustainability positioning. So I'm helping you think from the Cewmlator perspective even before we move to mock question writing. So this will help you narrow down on stakeholder analysis, help you study the Mendelow's matrix, help you think how government can affect me, how regulators can affect me, how suppliers can affect me. It's getting you thinking in the right direction. That's the value of such a detailed topic list. And then we've highlighted the key topics for you, like ethics, which is going to come up deeper in the discussion. Scenario planning, which has already come up, but going to come up again deeper into the discussion. Dividend policy, forex losses or forex currency risks, hedging. All of that's going to come up deeper, but this is just me showing you that in my topic list, you are going to get important topics. You're going to get how to use that topic, and you're going to get a link to Cewmlator. So you're already thinking in that right stage, right direction during the pre-scene itself or after the pre-scene when you do your revisions, so that when you actually move to mock question writing with me as practice, you will have great ideas, which I will help you shape in the right direction, which I will help you, mold and tell you how to write, how to use all of this in the right way. But the first place is actually starting and understanding, okay, these are key areas. This is how I need to think of it and I need to revise it. That's where the topic list is coming into picture. And this is what I would recommend for you all as well. Make a comprehensive topic list. And for students that are studying with me, obviously you'll receive my topic list, but make your own list as well, just so you yourself are also going through that exercise, and you yourself will have that confidence that, okay, when I went through the pre-scene, I noted these topics, I see these same topics in the topic list, which means I have paid attention, which means I have gathered important information. It won't be a time waste. It will be a good exercise for you. But you're any which way is going to receive this detailed list from me. So make your topic lists. Let's move on. Next category, after plug-in hybrids, we're going to only hybrids. Now, hybrid cars, only hybrid, HEV, use a petrol or diesel engine to generate electricity, which is used to keep the battery charged while the car is underway. So this you don't have to plug in. When the car is moving, the battery itself is charged by the power that the diesel or petrol engine generates. It generates electricity, which is used to keep the battery charged. These cars cannot be plugged into external power sources. The batteries on HEV cars are too small to enable them to be driven for more than a few kilometers unless the internal combustion engine is running. So it's a very small battery, because this small battery is powered by the running of the internal combustion engine. Those internal combustion engines are used exclusively to generate this electricity by which the battery is charged. The HEV cars can be driven on petrol or diesel other than through the electrical power that they generate. They produce lower emissions than ICE cars because they use the fuel more efficiently. The fuel is running the car, that's powering the battery, so less fuel is being used because the car switches between using the battery, between using using the battery when it requires. So eventually it's using less fuel, leading to lower emissions. Now again, the development of hybrid represent a key industry change driver. You can see how this industry is changing with so many different products, so much new technology every day which is coming up. So forecasting market trends, understanding the industry, understanding the external market becomes very important. Again, risk coming up to the picture over here at every stage, because HEVs present a strategic risk for Cewmlator because they offer consumers a lower emission option without requiring charging infrastructure. So overall, competing with companies that spread investment between HEVs and BEVs requires careful planning to ensure our resources are used well. So where are we putting our eggs? Are we only selling BEVs? Are we only selling, or are we selling a mixture of BEVs, PHEVs, HEVs? We need to look at that deeper into the pre-scene because that will help us decide and define the company's forecasting, the company's competition. Because if you're only selling BEVs, then PHEVs and HEVs become your competition, although it's in the same industry. So an external market deep analysis is going to be an important consideration. Next, we have mild hybrids. Hybrid and then mild hybrid. So mild hybrid cars have an electric motor that is connected directly to a petrol or a diesel engine. The motor assists the internal combustion engine when the car is accelerating, boosting performance and saving fuel compared to an ICE car. So over here the engine is not charging the battery. That's what's happening in hybrid. Over here the cars have an electric motor which is directly connected. There's no charging aspect. There's no battery aspect. The motor assists the internal combustion engine where the car is accelerating, boosting performance. The motor assists the engine to turn over when the car is cruising at a steady speed, again using less fuel. The motor reverses and generates electricity when the car is slowing down. The electricity is used to charge the car's battery. Obviously, there is a battery aspect involved, but to a limited perspective. Because the MHEV cars cannot run on the electric motors alone. In hybrids, they could run, but for a very small kilometer average. Over here, they cannot run on electric motors alone. They use electrical power to supplement the internal combustion engine. Most cars' brakes convert kinetic energy into heat energy, which causes them to slow down. When you brake, you're stopping your wheels from moving, which is generating heat. The electric motors in MHEVs convert much of the kinetic energy which is generated into electrical energy instead of heat, a process called regenerative braking. So whenever you slow down, whenever you are braking, this kinetic energy is converted to electrical energy rather than heat energy because of the system that has been set, because of the technology that these cars use, and this is called regenerative braking. This happens only in mild hybrids. That improves fuel efficiency slightly, but it is debatable whether MHEVs should be classified as electrical cars given they make very less use of electricity. But if you are a manufacturer of electric cars, your competition becomes mild hybrids, plug-in hybrids. All of this is your competition. So it's important to know about this. ICE cars, excluding MHEVs, accounted for 45% of new car registrations in Duxland, which means 55% went for electric cars. But 45 are still sticking to ICE. It doesn't include MHEVs. If MHEV are classified as ICE, then non-electric cars accounted for 61%. So eventually you can see that MHEVs are in the maturity stage of the automotive industry, offering only incremental improvements rather than a completely disruptive innovation, even though technology is new. The MHEVs are pretty much not on the verge of not being classified as EVs in itself, because they use very little the electric source. So why should we call it an EV? A pure BEV company like us, understanding where MHEVs sit in the life cycle helps in strategic planning. Because you know that these cars overall, the government is moving towards more and more electric support. So overall, these cars are going to reduce in sales eventually. So we can put them comfortably in the maturity stage. What is the maturity stage? What is the growth stage? That's there in your E3 syllabus. So in your topic list, you should have written down industry life cycle. Next, environmental links, obviously. So Cewmlator must consider CSR, GRI and IR reporting for positioning BEVs as the genuinely sustainable choice. Because remember, there are other options available in the market, but the genuinely sustainable choice is the BEVs, and you can promote market by having strong CSR, GRI and IR reporting. This is from your P3 syllabus. Next, the valuation of automotive businesses may vary depending on their portfolio. As a fully BEV manufacturer, Cewmlator's market valuation could be higher, because eventually everybody is moving towards fully electric cars. Governments are supporting this. This is aligned with future growth. So our valuation, when I look at business valuation principles, the different methods of business valuation, ours will be higher because we are very much in link with that of today's modern environment. In the first page itself, they told us that we produce battery operated cars or battery electric operated vehicles. So we can assume over here, or right now, as a fully BEV manufacturer, our valuation is going to be higher because we are a quoted company that will look better financially. We will look better, and eventually people will be willing to lend us, invest with us. That is a big perspective position of the company, right? Because it's positive for the company. That was F3. Now, if you look at the new cars which were registered in Duxland during 2024, you will see that a lot were ICE. So 1 million ICE cars were registered, just above 1 million. MHEVs were close to, let's say, just below 400,000, so let's say 350,000, roughly. BEVs were just above 400,000, so BEVs have already overtaken MHEVs. If I were to chronologically adjust them, first ICE, then BEV, then then MHEV, then HEV, and then comes PHEV at the end. So eventually we are sitting third in this graph. Now this data shows that ICE cars still dominate the market, while MHEVs and BEVs are in the mid-range. PHEVs and HEVs are smaller market share, but eventually as a company you are competing with all of them. This is clear implications for Cewmlator as Cewmlator, which is now a pure BEV company. We'll learn this deeper within the pre-scene, but I'm just bringing up references as and where I find them relevant for your understanding. Now this chart highlights market transition drivers, showing a clear but gradual shift from ICE to BEVs. For us, this is vital for forecasting demand and adjusting our strategy, because if government policies are changing, consumer preferences are changing, am I ready to serve them? Tomorrow I get a big order, am I ready to actually deliver it? So that's drivers of change which I need to be carefully aware of. Next, if Cewmlator plans future partnerships or acquisitions to expand production or charging infrastructure, understanding the current market mix is essential for valuing new opportunities and planning your financial strategies. If I am going to have new acquisitions, let's say I want to start making plug-in hybrids, I will need to buy maybe a company, or I will need to set up my own. Acquisition is obviously seen as a better option if the numbers fit right. But let's say I buy a company. Then for buying that company, I will first have to do an external market analysis. Then I will need to value that company. Then I will need to plan the finance, all of which fits within the F3 syllabus and can come up as an exam scenario. Next, the shift away from ICE. Now, many governments, including Dachshunds, have set targets for a ban on the sale of new ICE cars after 2030. Very clearly, political risk is, or regulatory risk is in your favor. That will not prevent the use of ICE cars purchased prior to the ban, nor will it prevent from buying used ICE cars on the second-hand market. ICE cars can still be used, but no new sales will happen. It has been expected that the prospect of a ban on ICE cars would encourage manufacturers to develop and promote EVs, perhaps ceasing production of ICE cars altogether long before 2030. That seems unlikely to happen because the demand for ICE cars remains high. More than 1 million units are still being purchased. And there is insufficient demand for EVs to bring out a more rapid switch. So government is trying their best, but still there is high demand for ICE cars. And people are still a little bit confused about shifting. Electrical cars raise issues that many motorists regard as serious disadvantage compared to ICE. The first disadvantage is the purchase price, because EVs are generally expensive compared to ICE. Manufacturers must recover their development costs. When you develop an EV, it's a very huge, big cost which needs to be recovered, and then you charge your customer more for that. That's why products are expensive. The cars themselves often require additional components like batteries, which are costly, and some forms of EV require both electrical motors and ICE as well. So this is adding to the cost. If it's a plug-in hybrid, or it's a hybrid, or it's a MHEV, you will require your internal combustion engines, increasing the cost. The price differential between EV and ICE cars has fallen, but still is significant. If we look at the graph, you will see that percentage by which EV price exceeds was close to 75% in 2020. In December 2024, it's come down and the difference is only 26%, but this 26%, let's say on a $50,000 car, or a $100,000 car, or a $20,000 car, is still significant. So it was 75%, it has come down to 26%, but it's still significant. So the chart shows the price gap between EVs and ICE narrowing from 75 to 26. This suggests EVs are becoming more affordable, but are still expensive. So from the pestle view, government's targets to ban ICE cars by 2030 are a political and environmental driver for change. For Cewmlator, understanding these external factors is vital for my strategic planning. Next, the narrowing gap between EVs and ICE introduce strategic risk. Cewmlator must plan long-term strategy to stay competitive, as competitors might delay the ICE phase out. So you still have to make sure you keep reducing your costs, reducing your prices. So even if the ICE phase out plan by 2030 doesn't happen, you are competitive, and scenario planning becomes crucial to prepare for uncertain adoption rates of EVs, especially with the 2030 ban approaching, which is like only 5 years away now. So scenario planning again coming to the picture. Now investors will factor in future cash flows and market share growth potential, which depend on how quickly EVs become mainstream. This will straightforward have an effect on your share price, your ability to raise funds for future R&D. So overall it depends on how you strategically position yourself and how prepared you are for the change. Now, before I move on, in the last slide, we have been speaking about the dividend decision or the investment decision. So from my topic list, I want to just quickly point this out. You'll see that the dividend policy has been highlighted as a key topic because it's highlighted in yellow. So what does the dividend policy do? From F3, it signals the financial health to shareholders. Dividends have a signaling effect. So the board must decide between reinvesting the dividend, paying a dividend to shareholders, balancing growth with shareholder expectations. As we move deeper into the pre-scene in my financial analysis aspect, we are going to see how much dividend we paid, what dividend has been paid, what is the policy of the company. But over here, I did find it important as a discussion, so I listed it down for you. And this way, all important topics are listed in the topic list. I hope you are making your topic list as well. Let's continue. The next issue is range and charging. Now the average car journey in Duxland is 15 kilometers. Only 1% of the journeys exceed 150 kilometers. Despite that, many motorists are nervous about switching to BEV cars because of concerns about range. Because obviously if a BEV gets stuck, you can't drag it, you got to tow it away. You can't push it, you got to tow it away. It's a big issue. Car manufacturers advertise the ranges of their cars on fully charged batteries, but range can be affected by your driving style, by your road conditions. An electric car may be suitable for a motorist's daily commute, but they could prove impractical for a longer journey. 150, 200 kilometers if you want to go intercity, it could prove impractical. So arrangements for charging BEV and PHEV cars can be complicated. Batteries need to be plugged into an electrical power source using a cable. That is rarely a problem for owners whose homes are at ground level and have off-street parking such as a garage or driveway that allows for a connection to be made. But what if you're staying in a building or a flat? It's a big issue, right? Home charging can be carried out by plugging the car into a normal domestic electrical socket, which will take time. But you can install rapid chargers as well to charge their cars quickly. But this is only possible for all who have their own homes, own garage, own driveway. A rapid charger costs roughly $1,500 to install, so this is an additional cost. Although there can be additional costs if their home electricity supply requires modification to deal with the additional current. Now overall, many drivers are hesitant to switch to BEVs because of range anxiety. Cewmlator must understand customer behavior to tailor marketing and product features to educate customers so that we can move them to purchase BEVs. Same ways, the cost of installing home rapid chargers may deter potential buyers. Cewmlator could explore financing partnerships or offer subsidized charging solutions requiring investment planning and cash flow planning at your side. Because at the end of the day, if you were to do any, if you were to get into any finance partnership or have any subsidy announced, it will overall affect your profits, overall affect your dividends, which will eventually affect your shareholder perspective. So the dividend question and the dividend situation and shareholder perspective coming to the picture over here from Cewmlator's perspective. Next, for motorists, the cost of charging an EV at home will be less than the cost of petrol or diesel fuel for a typical ICE car if you're charging it at home. Motorists who do not have off-street parking will have to recharge their BEVs and PHEVs, plug-in cars, at public charging points. You might have seen them, in car parks, in motorway service stations, at petrol pumps and other public spaces that are accessible. The use of public charging points is obviously more expensive, and running a BEV or a PHEV using public charging points can cost you more than petrol or diesel. So overall, as a BEV manufacturer, you need to make sure that the charging costs go down. Otherwise, who is going to buy your car? There are concerns about the availability of public charging points. So setting up public charging points, setting up that infrastructure, investing in that infrastructure are considerations for your business. There tend to be plenty in areas of high demand, but access can be limited in areas where none of the companies believe that there would be sufficient revenue. There are two main categories of public charging points: slow, fast, and rapid or ultra rapid. Slow fast points require 7 to 9 hours to go from 20% to 80%. Rapid or ultra points can achieve the same in as little as 25 minutes, but obviously rapid is going to be more expensive to set up. It's going to consume more electricity costs. So as a charging infrastructure provider, you will have to consider this. 80% of BEV owners have home chargers because obviously that's going to be cheaper. Most of those tend to use their home chargers, although a significant minority of owners are forced to use public charging points for 20 to 50% of their needs. The remaining 20% of owners completely rely on public charging points. Rechargeable batteries tend to degrade over time, which means that the car's range will decrease over time, something that you will have to manage as a company, something that you will have to innovate for as a company. That raises concerns about the resale value of EVs whose batteries have degraded to a point where they no longer offer an acceptable range. So overall, Cewmlator can integrate smart charging technology using IoT, information of things, where vehicles communicate with home chargers and public networks, creating a digital ecosystem that improves customer experience, tracks battery health, optimizes charging patterns to extend your battery life. So let's say you have an app, a Cewmlator app. On that app, it will tell you when you are supposed to charge, when you are supposed to remove it from charge. You can have a public network where you list down all your charging points in the nearby vicinity. So all of this data you can collect to serve your customers in a better way. This is digital ecosystems, data management, customer relationship management, big data opportunity that we are speaking of. Now, let's say overall, if rapid chargers fail or are insufficient in key areas, public backlash could occur. Cewmlator must have policy frameworks to respond to customer dissatisfaction, because in this market that is highly possible. Even if you buy a very expensive EV, it's highly technology based. Something or the other can go wrong. So as a business, you need to have those internal policy frameworks. Again, overall, expanding your charging infrastructure may require external financing, maybe setting up a joint venture with energy companies or municipal governments together. So for this, your external financing comes into the picture, your joint ventures come into the picture, dealing in a public-private partnership comes into the picture. You see, so many different avenues are being considered. Now, none of this is going to come to your mind if you're just, speed reading the pre-scene. It's coming to your mind because you're doing it in such detail with me. Because we are covering all the important aspects, plus we are going to test you on these in our mock questions on key areas, key situations, exactly like the exam in a timed environment. We're going to mark it for you to further show you your weak areas, further show you where you can improve, how you can improve. So this is a foolproof system. This is only one part of the resource that you're going through right now. Next, electric car market. Now, despite their potential drawbacks, sales of EVs have increased rapidly. You would have seen around you as well, wherever you are in the world, EVs are more frequently seen. You will see that battery operated cars in 2018 were less than 50,000. Now they are almost 450,000. And the whole ecosystem is growing. Not only BEVs, HEVs, PHEVs, both are growing. PHEVs slowly. The fastest growth is in BEVs. HEVs are also growing. PEVs are, pretty much, they are growing but at a slow pace. Globally, 17 million EVs were sold in 2024. That constituted 25% of the market share, which means you still have 75% of the market to aim at, 75% of the market to convince. The market share of EVs varies between countries, ranging from 12% to 85%. The global EV market is valued at $250 billion, a huge market. Different countries have different, we have already learned this, where the growth is, what the growth is in the industry analysis. Asia Pacific, largest market, Europe, America, also big markets. But overall, the market is huge, the market is growing. So the chart shows rapid BEV growth, indicating that the EV sector is moving from the growth. It's still in the growth stage, but it will move into the maturity phase. We have to position ourselves properly to benefit from high volume demand. International strategy is vital for targeting countries in early growth stages. This will be very important. With a $250 billion global market, we can use joint ventures, alliances with local distributors to expand into high growth countries. So expansion opportunities will have to be looked at. Market expansion, product expansion from the Ansof's matrix has to be looked at. This is a key concept. Put a star, Ansof's matrix. Also, rapid increase in BEV demand requires scalable production. Our production has to be matching the demand. If production is not matching demand, what's the point of getting all of the orders? Last, the global EV sales surge suggests digital tools will be essential to track customer acquisition and user experience. So how are we using data to track customer experience will be a very important consideration within this market. The use of data within this market is going to be huge. That's E3 only. If you look at P3, a global 250 billion market exposes Cewmlator to political risks, regulatory risks, because every single country has different rules, different regulations, different taxes. With $250 billion market, expansion may require significant external finance, where you can consider a rights issue, where you can consider external debt, external equity, which we'll talk about in detail in our third part when we go to the financial analysis. But right now it's just important, so I'm bringing it up. And obviously, if you expand into different markets, your currency exposure comes into the picture. So your hedging tools will come into the picture. This is a very important consideration in this market because of the global nature of this market, and we learn deeper in the pre-scene that we are a global company. So currency exposure, currency risk, hedging of risks will be very important. I have already given this as an important topic. So with that, we have come to the end of part 1 only of our pre-scene analysis. In part 2, we dig deeper into the industry a little bit, and then we start speaking about Cewmlator, finally, about our company, about our operations, about our directors, about our how the company is run, what the outlook is, our core values. All of that's coming in part 2. And then part 3 is a full detailed financial analysis, a competitor financial analysis, and a news analysis section analysis. All these three together, plus my invaluable topic list, is going to make sure that your study is very much centered on the important aspects. You're not studying, useless theory. You're not studying all the theory, everything that's there in the syllabus areas. You're studying the important areas which are often tested, which are important from this case study's perspective, and which we will provide you practice questions on as well. And then when you go to the exam, you are going to be ready. That's the only part one, small part of our resources, our live lessons, part 2, part 3, mock questions, blueprint explanation document, my twice a week live lessons with me where students ask me all of those questions. This overall system has been created for working professionals, students from FLP, to quickly gain leverage and pass this exam. If you found part 1 helpful, you can sign up for one of our courses by visiting finnTutors.com/SCS, or you can simply email us on help@finnTutors.com. We personally reply to every email, so we'll reply to you and we'll help you sign up. That's part 1. Thank you for being here.